Thank you for checking out my channel. So now that I'm done Spider-Man, I wanted to, I always do this with with games that I finished, and I'm gonna be doing like a little review on Spider-Man. So this will consist of multiple categories. It's not gonna be like Persona because there's not a lot of things to be judged, in this game, which I'm gonna get to that later. But I'm just going to talk about some of the things I liked about the game, some of the things I disliked about the game, the route that this game took, and what this game did better than other games. Or I'm just going to be yapping about this game. So the things that I like about this game would be the accuracy of Venom's weaknesses, right? Because we all know Venom is weak to fire, Venom is weak to sound, and they did use that against Harry. But they also incorporated new villains like Martin Lee that was not in the MCU. Mind you, I don't really know if Martin Lee's in the comics, but I'm saying in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that's one of the things that I liked about the game. The other thing was the variety of suits that you can do. Like there was so many suits. There was suits from the movies. There were suits from the comics and shit like that. Then you had what was it? You had all these other side stories going off into things that we already know. Like, remember, if you find all of the spiders, those little electronic spiders, it says that, oh, Miguel's going to thank you. And it's like, we all know who Miguel is if you've seen the Spider-Verse movies. Miguel's the other Spider-Man who's trying to kill Miles Morales, right? So then you have the Cult of Fire or whatever. It's like, oh, they're burning shit or whatever, and they want to kill everybody. But then they kidnap some of the symbiotes, and then we found out that the head person, Cassidy, is we found out his name is Cassidy, and we also find out that he has a Venom symbiote. So if you know, Cassidy is also the host of the symbiote Carnage. So more than likely, Carnage is going to be not a villain, but some sort of secret boss in the games, right? So yeah, that's actually one of the other things that I liked about it. And I can't really say a lot about. The visuals obviously were stunning because it's a Marvel game. Visuals were stunning. Gameplay was amazing. It was amazing-ish. And I liked the whole combination between both Spider-Man, which they couldn't really do in Spider-Man 1 and 2. But I think they wanted to save us for Spider-Man 2 because when they released Spider-Man Miles Morales, obviously, if they were going to make a Spider-Man 2, it was going to include both Spider-Man and Miles Morales, or Peter Parker and Miles Morales. But there's something that people really don't understand about movies and games, and I've actually heard this thing with Moana 2 as well. But if you haven't seen the movie, actually, if you haven't seen Moana, I'm not gonna explain it, but I'm gonna explain this whole issue. People didn't really know who the boss or the antagonist was, right? Because, oh, look, Kraven's going to be the final boss. Or we didn't know who was going to be the final boss. We saw Venom, and it's like, oh, Venom might be a secret boss, but Venom was the actual boss. People thought Kraven was going to be the main boss because they were doing trailer after trailer with Kraven, but Kraven was only there for like about a good portion of the story. But it went from Kraven being the main villain to Venom being the main villain. And you all have to realize that if you don't really understand who the villain is, it's not really a bad game if you don't know who the villain is, right? Like, oh, if the main villain didn't happen to be Kraven, the game is still good because you just didn't know who the main villain is. It's called a twist, right? Now, the things that I didn't like about this game. Well, one of the things is that the game was purely overhyped, which again I will get to that later. And I'm gonna save all of. Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna skip my dislikes and save it all for this next section. right? So, as we know, Spider-Man, this Spider-Man game lost to Baldur's Gate last year. Well, not last year, but in 2023's Game Awards, right? Now, 2024's Game Awards, Sun Wukong lost to Astrobot. But what people don't really understand is, yes, Sun Wukong can be a very visually stunning game. Yes, Spider-Man can be a very visually stunning game. But each year there's one difference, or there's one big thing that it's each year there's something that separates the winner from the loser. Last year it was variety. This year it was enjoyment, right? Last year for Spider-Man, you had, yes, you can customize your suits, right? You can choose from a select group of suits, and the gameplay was actually stunning and stuff like that, right? But to me, the game felt more of like an Arkham game than anything else. Like, oh, push 2 buttons to do your finisher. Okay, that's like in the Batman game I've seen, in one of the Arkham games that I've seen of things like that. And oh, you can swing across things. Yeah, you can. Obviously, just like any other Spider-Man game. Like, tell me one Spider-Man game where the main character Spider-Man couldn't swing around, right? So the swinging isn't new. The web shooting isn't new. The fighting system is new-ish because it has a lot more of a variety of combos and finishers and stuff like that. But they've only added finishers and a lot of new suits. And of course, the story was good, but the variety, the variety of what Spider-Man had was very limited compared to Baldur's Gate. And I've played both Spider-Man and Baldur's Gate, right? Spider-Man, yes, you have multiple versions of a certain suit, right? But Baldur's Gate, if you wanted to change a certain outfit, you can color it. You can change your character. You can change your race. You can basically be anything. It's like the combination of what you can be in Baldur's Gate vastly surpasses what you can be in Spider-Man. Like, for instance, let's just throw a number out there. Let's just throw out 28. There's 28 suits in, let me see. There's 28 suits in Spider-Man, right? And each suit has, let's say 48, no. Each suit has 4 styles to them, right? So you have the choice of about, what is it? Like, it's 100 and something, right? Like 112 combinations you can do with that suit, but it can't surpass 112. With Baldur's Gate, let's just say you can be an elf, you can be a Highland wood creature or whatever. There's like about, I would say 10 or 15 of them, but then there's multiple combinations. You can change your character to be a dark skin elf, a light skin elf. You can be a woman elf. You can be a man elf. You can be a tall, short elf, strong elf. You can have dreads. You can basically change your character's appearance and your character. However, you can't change it in Spider-Man because, those characters are already preset to how they look, right? And secondly, if you try to play the game, most of the times in some of the cutscenes, Spider-Man ends up changing back into his normal Spider-Man suit, or Miles Morales changes back into his normal Miles Morales suit. And Spider-Man does the same exact thing, but I'm like, okay, well, why in this specific cutscene, is my suit not showing up, right? So I believe that Spider-Man didn't have all those combinations that Baldur's Gate did. So that's what I mean when I say variety, right? And I believe that for Baldur's Gate, yes, Baldur's Gate doesn't look visually fun, right? Because it's a strategy game, right? You're comparing an action-adventure game to a strategy game, And of course, Spider-Man has better graphics, but everyone just focuses strictly on the graphics of a game and calls it Game of the Year, right? But I think the main reason why people don't understand why Sun Wukong and Spider-Man didn't win is because the games were overhyped, right? If the game looks good, it doesn't mean it's going to be good to the players who play the game. Example, everyone thought Sparkling Zero was some people thought Sparkling Zero was going to be Game of the Year, right? But then people bought Sparkling Zero and it lost 90% of its player base before the Game Awards came out. People were expecting this game for years, not years, they expected this game for months. It was waiting on playing it, and then they found out they didn't like the game when they played it. Same thing with Sun Wukong, right? Sun Wukong doesn't have a difficulty setting. So you can either get good at the game or not play the game at all. So what's the enjoyment of that? I played Sun Wukong, right? I've played it, and I beat the bear boss on the first chapter, and then there was no sense of accomplishment. I was just upset that whole time, almost breaking my controller, because it's just like, why is this so hard? It's no enjoyment. I'm just sitting here getting mad at a boss that I couldn't beat no matter how much I tried or leveled up. And that's another thing. There's no level, so you can't, get stronger. You can't do more damage unless you get more materials, right? So the game isn't really dedicated to everybody. It's only dedicated for the people who want a challenge, right? So ask yourself this: do you think the population of players who want a challenging game is bigger than people who want a more fun and enjoyable game? Because when we play a game, we play it to have fun, right? Some people wanted to be challenged. That's fine. But other people just want to play a game just because it's fun, right? People played Crash back in the day because it was fun. People played Mario back in the day because it was fun. And Mario and Crash, you just jumped up, spun, collected power-ups and stuff like that. Like, okay, yeah, and it was fun. That's why Mario has done the same thing for years. And they basically the same thing. You're a person who jumps, spins, collect power-ups, and beats Bowser. That's it. They have kept relevancy by making like Mario Party, Mario Kart, and stuff like that. But I believe now Sun Wukong was just overhyped. Spider-Man was just overhyped. Sparkling Zero was just overhyped. People saw it and were like, oh, let's go ahead and dedicate this game as Game of the Year. Oh, this is Game of the Year. This is Game of the Year. Blah, 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 blah. So Spider-Man lost to Baldur's Gate because it had no variety to it. I mean, yes, you can change your suits, but that was basically about it. Right? Like, yes, the game was visually stunning and the combat systems were good, right? But that doesn't compare to the variety of what you can do in Baldur's Gate, right? People really haven't heard of Baldur's Gate, but that doesn't mean the game is fun. That doesn't mean the game is not fun. Excuse me. It just means that people overhype the game because Sun Wukong looks good. Spider-Man looks good. Astrobot may not look good, but it's fun, right? And I've played Astrobot. Astrobot is fun. Sun Wukong is just a stress to play. Like, what's the fun of sitting here beating up, like trying hundreds of times to beat a boss that you can't beat, then you beat him, no sense of accomplishment, only to go to the next boss, which is even harder. You lose hundreds of times, beat him, you have no sense of accomplishment, and it's just over and over until you beat the game. Like, what's the whole purpose? You can't even train in the game and level up. There's no levels in the game, right? You can only get points to activate skills. You can buy stuff in shops, but then it's really limited to what you can do at that point in time, right? You can upgrade your health. You can upgrade the gourd where you can get health from. However, you can only do it. You can't really go out in the world and find it. You have to actually beat the boss. So, you have to actually beat the boss, and then you're able to go to another section, which there is another place where you can upgrade your gourd again, and it's just so slow for the upgrades that it feels like The game's not actually that fun. It's just super challenging. And if the Game Awards judged on how challenging a game is for it to win, then yeah, Sun Wukong might have won. But it didn't, because Sun Wukong is not a good, or not, it's a good game to play, but it's not a fun game to play, right? Okay, that's fine. We all played Sun Wukong on the first level because it looked like a fucking movie, right? We all had our skills unlocked on the first time, and then we started to play it for the first time. But right after that tiger fight, I beat the boss and deleted the game because I didn't feel like beating another boss. I didn't feel like being stressed out, breaking my controller over a boss that I couldn't beat. I would rather sit here, have fun with an enjoyable game, and if I lose at that game, then yes, I can just go level up, then I can beat the boss, right? And then things like Sun Wukong, you can't do that. You can't level up because there's no levels. You can only unlock more skills. You can do more damages and get more stances, but then where does that get you? You don't get any more advantages. You can't say, oh, let me just go ahead and get this health module that helps me heal, and then I'll have a better chance of winning. So, I don't even have anything to say. I believe that Sun Wukong lost because it's not an enjoyable game. It's a challenging as fuck game. It looks visually amazing. It keeps up with the mythology, but it's not a fun game to play, right? Astrobot doesn't have to follow a mythology or a story. It's just a game where you play to have fun, and you can interact with characters that are on the PlayStation, right? Easy, right? But then it's really not, Astrobot is really it's a fun game. Sun Wukong really isn't, right? Because as soon as Sun Wukong came out, as soon as you saw it, everyone was like, this is going to be game of the year, because it looks good. Before anyone can even play it, right? Dragon Ball Z, Sparkling Zero showed us why we can't look at a game and see, hey, let's go ahead and play this game, play Sparkling Zero, and it's going to be game of the year because it looks fun. Then you play it, people were complaining about Vegeta being too hard, right? Then you go online, people were complaining about the online being too hard. So 90% of its base dropped off. And then, I don't know if it won game of the year or for its section, but it wasn't even nominated, right? Sun Wukong, almost the same thing. It was overhyped, you played it, and some people found it too hard and they didn't actually play it. But but like Spider-Man, it was visually stunning. It was visually stunning. It kept up with the mythos and things like that. Like Sun Wukong followed the mythology, followed its story, and then it was visually stunning. Spider-Man followed the Spider-Man logic and it's visually stunning. Like Spider-Man, we all know Spider-Man can swing from webs. Like, okay, like every Spider-Man game, you can swing from webs. You can shoot webs in every game. You can punch in every game. The only new thing is the customization of the suits and the finishers you can do. You can't even control what finisher you can do. You just press the finisher and then you do, whichever finisher gets picked for that moment. So, but I think that's why Spider-Man lost the Game of the Year awards some years ago, because it's not really it's an enjoyable game, mind you, but there's no variety. Sun Wukong lost because it's just a difficult game, but it's not really enjoyable. If it's enjoyable to you, that means you believe being challenged to the limit is being an enjoyable game, right? You can't set the difficulty. So if you're not good at the game, if you can't get the game mechanics, if you're not good at any Souls games, then you just can't play. And if that's the case, then, of course it's like that, right? Just like Sparkling Zero. You buy the game, you realize you're not good at the game no matter how much you try, then you delete the game. because you don't want to, and you don't want to practice, because if you keep practicing and practicing, you don't get any better. It's just that these people are just naturally better at the game because they've been playing games like this for years. So Sun Wukong can only appease to the people who like Dark Souls games, who've been playing Dark Souls games for years and years and years. So, but going back to Spider-Man, Spider-Man just didn't really have that much variety in the game. However, it was visually stunning, and that's what I liked about the game, right? I don't really know that much about Spider-Man that much, but, you know, I believe it was a good game, and I loved playing it. But I did end up playing Baldur's Gate, and I was playing it so much that I didn't even feel like recording the game. I recorded the game somewhat, but then I was feeling like, okay, I'm playing it way too much, and I wanna level up on my own personal time. And I was doing that, and I got stronger, and then I was able to, beat bosses that I couldn't beat before with ease, and I felt like there was a simple sense of accomplishment because all the training that I did actually paid off, right? All that grinding, level grinding I did, all that leveling up I did, becoming a stronger wizard, mastering these spells, making my spells stronger, and then I use it against a new boss, and seeing it do more damage was amazing. But with Sun Wukong, it's like you practice, but you don't get any better. Your skills just get better. It doesn't really promise you beating a boss, because that would mean that you can practice for hours and hours and hours, go to the boss, and you feel like nothing's changed. So I can see why Black Myth Wukong had lost to Astrobot, but and Spider-Man lost to Baldur's Gate. But it was more of like the variety with Spider-Man. But I did like Spider-Man. Don't get me wrong. I just wanted to play it because, yeah, you don't get stronger in the game. It's just that I'm actually good at the Spider-Man games. I'm good at those type of games because I've been playing Arkham games, or Batman Arkham games, for years. I've played, as you guys know, if you've seen the videos, I've played Gotham Knights. I've played that game. It's basically the same. The combo finishers are the same thing for those games. You can change the suits just like in those games. You can upgrade using technology with gadgets just like that game. I've been playing those games for like years. That's why I enjoyed Spider-Man. But to wrap this up, I just think games that are only meant for certain people shouldn't win the Game Awards. Games that are easy, fun, and enjoyable should win if they fit into certain categories, right? Because if you make a game that's way too difficult to play, then it's like, how do you expect people to say, oh, this is a good game? Oh, it wins Game of the Year. If you ask someone who deleted Black Myth Wukong and you ask them, should this game win Game of the Year? Why do you think the game should win Game of the Year when they haven't even completed the game, right? I haven't completed the game, but you know why? It's because the game was too hard. If someone says that, oh, I deleted the game, that's the reason why Sparkling Zero lost, because 90% of their fan base dropped off. It doesn't mean that the game sucked. It's just how the game was designed for certain players who were good enough for the game to win, to make it like that, right? I'm good at Spider-Man, right? I beat the game on the I would guess like the best difficulty or the highest difficulty. And I was like, okay, it's pretty fun. It's because I've been playing those games a lot, right? But moral of the story is, before I end this video or before I end this review, if you want to make a game that wins Game of the Year, make sure that the game is actually fun. Make sure you can like level up, get stronger. You can practice your skills in the game, and you can actually get physically stronger in the game so you can beat bosses who you can't beat before. But other than that, thank you for checking out all these Spider-Man games that I've had. I'm probably going to wait until Spider-Man Miles Morales 2 comes out, when they have Silk and Spider-Man in there. So, I'm going to go for those. But anyway, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.